Welcome to our Fireside Chat, where we'll be discussing the complexities of managing time in prevailing wage work. I'm Melisa Pazalja, the Senior Account Executive at Timeero, and joining me today is Steve Elworth, the Software Sales Specialist at Points North.
Hey, Melissa, it's great to be here with you. I've actually got an 80-degree day in October outside, so the fireplace today is virtual, but excited to join you and talk a little bit about certified payroll and timekeeping.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here and dive into some of the main questions. And let's get started. Yeah, what is
Sure.
certified payroll?
Yeah, so certified payroll all stems from a law that was passed back in the 1930s called the Davis-Bacon Act. And I won't go into the details about what this act entails, but two basic things that I want to talk about as it relates to this. One is that companies working on publicly funded construction projects need to pay specific rates to their employees while they're out on those jobs called prevailing wages. And not only do these companies need to adhere to those prevailing wages from a payroll perspective, they also have to produce a report, which is really the certified part of certified payroll. They need to produce a report that shows and proves that they've paid those prevailing wages out on the job site.
Yeah, and that leads me to the next question. What are prevailing wages?
Yeah, so prevailing wages are really determined by the government, and it's those prevailing wages were put in place to ensure that contractors are paying fair wages to their employees out on publicly funded jobs. And what it does is it really creates a level playing field for contractors so that everyone bidding on those jobs has to pay the same rates to employees. And it's based on uh, the location of the job, typically like the county where the job is being done, and what type of work performed, like carpenter, electrician, laborer. Um, and it typically includes a base rate and an hourly fringe benefit rate. And it could be different based on a couple of different things, like how the job was funded. Is it a federal job? Is it funded by the state government that has state prevailing wage laws? Or is it funded by a municipality, for example? So there's all different types of factors that go into what the prevailing wage rate is for a certain job and a certain type of work, what we would call work classification. So companies really want to understand what is the prevailing wage rate that I need to pay out at a specific job.
That makes sense. And who does this affect directly?
Yeah, so it certainly affects construction companies working on publicly funded jobs. Think like infrastructure type work, bridges, highways, public buildings like schools or courthouses. But it also affects other companies as well that you might not typically think of in construction, like landscaping companies, janitorial services, security companies, even elevator companies are subject to prevailing wage, and we've helped a few elevator companies with that along the way. And it's really kind of getting into industries that typically haven't had to deal with this in the past, like solar companies, for example, green
Mm.
energy, manufacturing companies like semiconductor manufacturing companies, elect electrical companies. And I think it's only spreading into different industries. It's not, contracting at all. So it's been really interesting over the last few years. It might be important to take a step back and really just discuss, why is this all important, right? What are some of the consequences that might happen if, for example, a company didn't pay prevailing wages out on a job site or didn't submit their reports?
Yeah, I think, the number one thing is ensuring that employees are getting paid the fair wages. And if they're not, there's a lot of different consequences, including fines, not getting paid, being debarred from public works jobs, and even jail time in some cases.
Yeah, that's a that's a great kind of summary of some of the things that can happen. I mean, you read about that in some of the construction publications about how people have actually gone to jail for intentionally not paying prevailing wages. And there's other consequences, like not getting paid
Yeah.
on the job. That's a huge deal for a small business. It, 3 or 4 calls a week from companies that just didn't understand that they were working on a prevailing wage job and needed to make sure that they were compliant with the prevailing wage part of the equation. And then also, we can help them backfile their certified payroll reports. So it's certainly, you know, a, a very important job task, let's say, to make sure that companies really are understanding the prevailing wage payroll part and certified payroll reporting process. And so, you know, kind of going into a little bit further specifically into timekeeping, maybe Melissa, would you want to explain a little bit more about why is accurate timekeeping essential in prevailing wage work?
Yeah, absolutely. Just accurate timekeeping is so important because even different states, different counties have different laws around tracking time, overtime rules that need to be recorded. And so having accurate timekeeping is just essential in prevailing wage work because it really ensures that the employees are paid the correct amount based on the specific job classification, the hours worked, and that's really crucial for compliance with prevailing wage laws. Making sure to prevent any sort of legal issues, penalties for employers, and guaranteeing that workers on public projects receive the mandated fair wages for their labor.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's I think you hit the nail right on the head. It's like that is the most important part of all this, making sure that the employees are getting paid accurately for the time that they're working. And maybe you could discuss a little bit about how Timeero can help companies with timekeeping.
Yeah, so Timeero is primarily a time tracking GPS app. And so employees can clock in, it records their hours, it records the job so they can select the job classification. It records any sort of audits if a manager or somebody on the team makes a change. And so it's really important to make sure you have that accurate timekeeping. And that's what Timeero does, as well as tracking the GPS and making sure that they were on site when they needed to be. So that is how Timeero would be able to help is by recording those hours, recording any mileage as well, verifying the GPS location, and just providing that accurate report for payroll and also for prevailing wages and certified payroll. So tell us a little bit about how Points North can then take that information from Timeero to help.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So Points North, the reason that our company exists is to take all the headache out of certified payroll, right? Our goal is to streamline and automate the certified reporting process as much as possible so that we can help companies eliminate any human error that might be going on if they're processing and doing their certified payroll reporting manually. We also want to reduce the administrative time that's spent on all of this, right? So they can focus on other areas of the business. And really, I think we can help in a couple of different ways. We can help companies new to public works projects make sense of all of this, make sense of the certified payroll reporting. And then we can really help companies with complex rate management scenarios in the pre-payroll context, help to sort out all that in the front end and work with Timeero to get that time applied to the correct rates and send that payroll data, send that into the payroll processing system for running payroll, and then back to us for the certified payroll reporting. So we have all different kinds of options based on the complexity of what the client's situation is to be
Mhm.
able to help in the world of prevailing wage and certified payroll reporting. Yep.
Absolutely. So I think if any company is working on any sort of public works, Timeero and Points North definitely look into us. I mean, schedule a call and would be more than happy to understand the situation and see how we can help. So you don't ever have to worry about any of those consequences we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to discuss anyone's certified payroll situation and be as helpful as we can. And and go from there. So
Yeah. Thank you for your time today, Steve. I look forward to working
yeah,
with you on some future projects.
likewise. Thanks for the time.
Right. Take care.
You too. Bye bye.